We now head to Trinidad and Tobago, where the Oilfield Workers Trade Union is marking International Workers' Day despite stay-at-home measures. With us now is Ozzi Warwick. He's the Chief Education and Research Officer of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union. Thank you, Ozzi, so much for joining us.
And thank you for having me. And of course, happy um, International Workers' Day with all the workers throughout the world. And definitely, of course, the frontline and essential workers who are battling this COVID-19 pandemic.
Ozzy, May Day celebrations usually bring hundreds of people out on the streets. How will the union mark this occasion amid the pandemic?
Well, first, yes. Well, we bring actually thousands, but we are going to be marking it with what we call a virtual rally. We are going to have the trade union leaders from the federation, which will belong to the joint trade union movement, and we are going to have the various trade union leaders bring solidarity, bring a message across to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Using the technology, we'll also be live streaming this virtual rally. It will be led by the president of the Joint Trade Union Movement and, of course, the president general of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, Comrade Ansel Roger.
Now, given the effects of course, the novel coronavirus, many businesses have sought to send home workers or impose salary cuts, right, in Trinidad and Tobago and also abroad. How has the union been able to address these claims and fight on behalf of the workers' rights?
Well, the trade unions, we have been using various platforms in order to advocate for businesses to maintain jobs as well as to maintain the income. We have been making this case both publicly as well as in discussions with the government, as well as with other business sector and other federations. We have made it very, very clear that what is required is for workers to maintain their jobs as well as to maintain income, because after this COVID pandemic is over, we'll have to look at recovery. And it would be the same workers who would play a critical and instrumental role in resuscitating the economy. And therefore, it makes sense, makes very good sense for the businesses to maintain the jobs as well as to maintain income.
Now, Trinidad and Tobago's oil and gas sector is the driving force for the economy. However, the state-run Petrotrin shut down, as we know, in 2018, sending home thousands of workers. The government had announced that a dragon field gas deal with Venezuela would stimulate the economy, and this was canceled due to U.S. sanctions. How has this affected workers in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, indeed, any disruption in the energy sector would have a tremendous impact on workers, especially since the refinery, Petrotrin, the national oil company, was closed. That created one set of hardship. And now you have sanctions which would create even further hardship for workers in the energy sector. We believe, as the trade union that represent majority of workers in that sector, that what is required is a readjustment of the energy policy so that we can have a greater say and a greater role in resuscitating the energy sector. We believe that we have 83 years, our union have been around. We have seen all different types of incarnation of different oil companies. And therefore, we believe with the experience of our members and the experience of those workers, we can turn around the energy sector, but it has to be on the basis of respect and involvement of the workers themselves.
Ozzy, you mentioned the post-COVID-19 recovery. What have workers said about the measures taken by the government generally?
I think there is a general satisfaction with regards to the health response. However, there is a lot of concern about the social response because we have the government making certain announcements about certain reliefs, but that haven't reached the workers. That haven't reached people on the ground. So there's a lot of concern and criticism in terms of the implementation of the reliefs that the government has announced. So they make an announcement, but in terms of those reliefs actually reaching the people on the ground, and this is very disturbing because what we are seeing is more and more families going hungry. People are really struggling every single day to put food on the table. And we think that in terms of the social response, that needs to be ramped up significantly. In terms of testing, that also needs to be ramped up significantly. So I believe that in those areas, the government needed to do a lot better.
Ozzy, yourself and your fellow workers have been good friends of Venezuela. In what ways are you showing solidarity from Trinidad amid these latest aggressions?
Okay, we have made several public statements in terms of condemning the action of the US or Trump administration. We have also sent solidarity videos to the people of Venezuela. We have spoken at various forums, even internationally, to express our condemnation of actions taken against Venezuela in this particular time. It cannot be in the middle of a pandemic that we see the Trump administration mobilizing militarily to destabilize Venezuela. Our position, which we have made publicly several times and will continue to reiterate, we want the Caribbean to be a zone of peace. We want peace and stability, not war and destruction. And at a time like this, when you're supposed to be seeing international solidarity as countries come together to fight a pandemic that we have not seen in our generation or even the generation before us, we think that it is inhumane and it really flies against human dignity and human consciousness to be mobilizing militarily to destabilize a country in the middle of a pandemic.
Ozzy, we thank you so much for your time for Telesur English.
Thank you very much for having me. And
we have
of
been
course,
speaking.
Solidarity to all the workers.
Thank you. We have been speaking with Ozzi Warwick. He is the Chief Education and Research Officer for the Oilfield Workers Trade Union in Trinidad and Tobago.